Dr. Jonathan Levy, thank you so much for spending time with us.
Thank you so much.
You bet. Take care. Yeah, we're trying to give you all perspectives here. And before we go to Jim Tucker, and I want to ask Jim Tucker this question. I've studied it. The Vatican's its own city. It's above the law. The Federal Reserve's private. It tells us on the news it's above any law. We're now told the bankers are above the law with the banker bailout. The District of Columbia says they have immunity or an above the law or an incorporation. There's all these, the Cayman Islands say they're above the law. It's just basically mafias take over groups or set up organizations and then declare they're above the law. And now it's a bunch of these groups teaming up. They form the New World Order. So they're all guilty. Israel, is a private, basic corporation, and there's different people that live there. But the point is the elites are using it as a command base. I mean, it's the same story over and over again. Let's go to Jim Tucker. Jim, good to have you on with us.
Always a pleasure.
Hey, you just heard the point I was making. What's your take on what's at the top of the New World Order? I mean, I see it as a bunch of pyramids that kind of nest inside each other like Russian dolls, or it all nexuses in. The head of the CFR is also one of the heads of the Bilderberg group. The heads of the Bilderberg group are the heads of the Club of Rome. And it's just all interconnected.
Yes, it is. Bilderberg, Trilateral Commission, and of course, as we've said so many times, the Council on Foreign Relations has a clique at the top. They have 3,000 to 4,000 members. The clique at the top will handle the Bilderberg propaganda, and what we talk about today will be forthcoming in the months ahead as white papers issued by the CFR advocating those very points.
That's right. Every time you have your inside sources, you put out what they said, and then we see the white papers, word for word, what Tucker says come out. No source like Tucker out there. Okay, in hindsight, what was this year's Bilderberg like? What key intel did you get that you didn't relay to us last week? Where is the world going? Are things going well for Bilderberg, Jim Tucker?
Things are not going well for Bilderberg. The patriotic Americans and the patriotic nationalists from Europe are blocking Bilderberg very effectively. But that does not mean we can let our guard up, because they're still bent on a world government. They're still working as grim-faced as they are toward a world government. And some of the plans they set forth now would eliminate large amounts of our national sovereignty of our country and that of other countries around North America, Europe, and even the entire world. Now, this year, as we discussed before, big on the agenda was how to exploit the current economic meltdown and the alleged swine flu pandemic in order to create a global Department of Treasury, a global Department of Health. The Federal Reserve would evolve into the UN's global Department of Treasury. The World Health Organization would evolve into the United Nations as the Department of Health. Obviously, that would surrender great gobs of sovereignty. So Carl Bildt, the longtime luminary, Bilderberg luminary, also luminary on the Trilateral Commission, and former Prime Minister of Sweden, now Minister for Foreign Affairs, he delivered a major speech in arguing exactly for that. He said the world economic meltdown is, quote, once a generation crisis, while global warming is a once in a millennium challenge. We are at a crucial time, he told, Bildt said. The order of magnitude of the world crisis are more challenging than we are used to. The world economic recession has already reversed strong annual growth rates in many developing nations and in some parts of Europe, and has potential to bring down governments. When we hit bottom, we can't be sure where we'll bounce back up, says Bilderberg says. I mean, Bildt tells Bilderberg, this is an urgent economic crisis unlike anything we have dealt with in living memory.
So, Jim Tucker, you're giving us actual transcript from your sources inside?
No, what I'm giving you is quotes given to me by sources inside.
Yeah, no, I understand. But you're giving us...
It's not a typed transcript. It's my handwritten notes.
Okay, it's bullet points. You know, there's 179 now to audit the private Fed. Is that worrying them? I mean, you said that they're worried about the anti-Lisbon treaty. I keep calling it Lisbon. I know that's the capital of Portugal, Lisbon. I know they're upset about the Lisbon treaty.
Yes, they're trying to pressure the Irish into reversing itself in a referendum, which is required for the Lisbon Treaty to take place, to take effect. And somehow it strengthens the European Parliament, the European Union's Parliament. I don't see how it could get stronger because it could already pass laws and impose them on the individual member nations. They'd also have more of a permanency to the presidencies of rotating every few minutes to another, and a more powerful cabinet type of operation. All of that is to enhance, of course, the European Union, which is already enhanced, is a major section of the world government, like the American Union is to evolve into under their plans. But as I said, their plans have been set back. They thought in the 90s they were very confident that by the year 2000 there would be an American Union. We would all be happy to surrender sovereignty to an American Union, which would involve the entire Western Hemisphere, to an American Union legislative body that could impose laws and have an American Union court that could be superior to our own Supreme Court.
Sure. Jim, in the time we've got with you, some other questions. You said this was the most security you ever saw. Did that backfire on them? They arrested and detained American reporter from American Free Press, London Guardian reporter, other reporters, and just tourists 2.5 miles away, arresting people. And that all these years the media has denied it existed. Now it was in the AP, it's in Politico, it's in even some major U.S. papers, it was in British papers. I mean, the mere fact that they keep trying to be so secretive, it looks like all those years of denial is now backfiring on them, and that their heavy hand is backfiring.
Yes, it is. And it's a breakthrough. That I haven't seen the AP story yet, but they have a substantial story on Bilderberg.
Yeah, it was whitewash. The headline, in fact, pull it up, guys, for folks at prisonplanet.tv watching, please, and for listeners. It was Nationalist Protest Bilderberg, or Nationalist Protest Elite Meeting, something like that. In fact, just put Bilderberg in and then put Nationalist Protest, Greek Nationalist Protest, the word Bilderberg, it'll bring it up. Here it is, Greek Nationalist Protest Bilderberg Club Meeting. Okay, I was right the first time with the memory. And it's AP. Police heavily guarded a luxury resort in Greece on Saturday where a secretive annual rendezvous of top politicians and business leaders reportedly took place. That's a first, I think, for AP, Jim.
It is, because AP has been under tremendous pressure all these years to never use the word Bilderberg, from the Washington Post, L.A. Times, and the New York Times. All three of those major newspapers are owned by Bilderberg. That is philosophically owned because they've all attended these meetings. Washington Post publishers attend every meeting of Bilderberg since 1954, and they make their solemn promise to report nothing. They pressured AP to not use the word Bilderberg. So this is a...
So doesn't this completely discredit them, Jim? Because they've said it doesn't exist all these decades. Everybody's heard this doesn't exist. Now they have to admit it. That's A. B, there were a whole bunch of news articles, one in the New York Times yesterday, and it implied we're delusional and doesn't exist. Other reviews of this film about myself and others, you're in it. It's called New World Order. You know, that crew that was following us around for a few years.
Yeah.
There are actual film reviews I've read by major publications that say we are schizophrenic when we were in Chantilly, Virginia, that nothing happened. There was no meeting, Jim. We are just complete loons. AP doesn't exist. This doesn't exist.
Is who saying that?
I could pull them up. It was when they had South by Southwest. I was like 3 different major film reviews saying Jones is insane and believes a secret group is meeting. Jones believes they're hiding behind trees and following him. Jones is insane, yeah.
Well, they're cute.
But, I mean, that will